Today on the channel, top 5 hits every hunter needs to keep in mind for every hunt. Yes, I know. It's a friggin' listicle. And normally, I kinda hate listicles. Way too often, they're just vapid, clickbaity, lazy, and useless. But I've already done a nice fistful of detailed, focused videos full of useful information about beginner tips for monster hunters new to the Monster Hunter series, and I thought it might be nice to also balance that out with some quick blast, easy to digest tips. So hopefully I've made the useful kind of listicle here. Mostly it's just some helpful things to keep in mind for each and every single hunt, but really aren't deep enough to make a whole video about all on their own, at least not before the full game releases and we get all the relevant detail to refer to. Hello again, I am Blanty. This is another in my little mini-series of Monster Hunter Rise hints and tips guide for people fresh to Monster Hunter by someone fresh to Monster Hunter. I have been learning things the hard way before Rise comes out, so hopefully you don't have to after Rise comes out. And so you can become a badass hunter without making as many dummy newbie mistakes as I did to get here. I do hope it's helpful and or interesting to you, and if it is, give a bloke a hand against the mighty machine mind of YouTube by thumbing, commenting, subbing, and belling. The algorithm is math, and math is a dick. I think we can all agree on that, right? Anyway, so here we go. Top 5 beginner tips. Some of these may seem obvious to even mildly experienced Monster Hunter players, but seriously, don't take any of this stuff for granted. You'll be amazed how important it is and how much fun you can have with it when you really focus on what you're doing with them. Tip number 5. You're a hunter. Think like one. Take the right accessories. In real life, a real-life hunter wouldn't go, say, duck hunting without a duck call. It would be silly, right? Or a deer hunter wouldn't go on, well, bloody hell, I don't know enough about real-life hunting. Let's say some kind of scent masking spray. That's something deer hunters use, right? But you really must learn what gear you'll need to carry for each separate particular hunt, starting most obviously at consumables. Antidotes for hunting monsters who like to poison you is an obvious one. Maybe some extra potion ingredients so you can craft more than you would normally be allowed to carry when you're up against an especially challenging monster, so you can hang in there a little longer while you learn. That kind of thing, you get the point. It'll vary between hunts, and that's my point. You got to think about what you're taking with you. Get into the habit, and I mean it, get into the goddamn ritual of before every single hunt, you go to your supply box, you load in your preset, even if it's the same preset you literally just used on the hunt before. Because if you forget to replenish the stacks of items you have in your inventory preset before every hunt, you're going to leave yourself in big trouble. Replenish your inventory before every hunt. Replenish your inventory before every hunt. Replenish your inventory before every hunt. Chant it with me, my hunter siblings. Chant it with me. Tip 4, closely related to tip 5, actually, because again, it's about preparation. It's about forethought. But this time, it's about weapons and armor. You'll start out the game with a pretty basic kit of a generalized defense and offense set of skills, but the more monsters you hunt, the more armor and weapon variants you'll unlock to craft, each with their own strengths and weaknesses and passive or conditionally active skill sets. Pay attention to them. Read the descriptions. Compare them to one another. Think about what combinations you're using. Monster Hunter doesn't really make a habit of jamming any of this stuff down your throat. In fact, it barely mentions it. You just have to kind of discover and experiment on your own, usually. But you'll need to take it upon yourself to keep an eye on what's new and what does what. You can wear full matched sets of armor from one particular monster. This often comes with extra bonuses, often at the expense of a deeper weakness, and sometimes you only need 3 or 4 pieces from a set to gain the bonus in the first place. Or you can mix and match entirely. Each different piece can be from a different set. And while this quite often makes you look a bit awkward with all these different styles going on, mixed sets are super fun ways to build very specific advantages into your skill set or to cover weaknesses. Plus, there's a thing called layered armor in the game. It's what Monster Hunter games call skins or transmogs. So your messy mixed set can just be covered up by something with more consistency and style points, if you like. So don't worry about the whole fashion hunter game too much. You can compensate. But I would strongly advise against looking at guides and the meta builds, because while obviously you can get the best on paper, mathematically correct sets this way, it can and will take some of the fun and personality and individuality and expression and adventure out of the game. So I would recommend you save worrying about the min-max meta crap for the end of the game. I mean, if you like being a copycat, following Reddit guides and meta builds and stuff like that, and min-maxing, that's cool, that's fine. You do you. That's one of the things about this game. All I'm saying is you really don't have to be able to kick ass. And of course, weapons with elemental considerations play their part too. Different monsters will be strong or weak to different elements. Tip number 3, do not sleep on collecting endemic life. There's all kinds of birds and snails and beetles and little mammals and all that kind of stuff that give you all kinds of advantages for a single hunt, like increased attack power or better defense or an extra wire bug use. There are some items you can throw at a monster that'll make it flinch or distract it or scare it away or attract a monster to you if you want to move it into an area where it's going to be easier to fight. There's even some that can do things like weaken the armor on a monster. So pay attention, learn what does what, learn where you can collect all of these items on any given map, figure out your own favorite paths or use a guide. But most importantly though, use them. If you pick them up, use them. I was pretty bad about this in the demo sometimes, picking up some throwable stuff and then forgetting to use it for the entire hunt. Not only was that dumb, not only was I throwing away an advantage, but in a multiplayer hunt, it might annoy fellow hunters that you picked something up and didn't bother to use it to the team's advantage. These things can't be taken with you after the hunt, you can't stock up on them, you can't hoard them, so just use them in every single hunt. If you pick it up, use it. And of course, it should go without saying, learn when you can make the strongest use of them at just the right times. Because if the demo's extra hard Magnamallow hunt taught us anything, is that these can be literally the key turning point, the key factor in a hunt under the right circumstances. Tip number 2, always, and I mean always, check the supply box at your campsite. On most normal hunts, you'll get a fistful of freebies in the box, care of the Hunters Guild. Usually a few basic healing options, some rations for your stamina for example, and some consumables that are specifically useful for the particular monster you're hunting. Also, if you are on a multiplayer hunt, there will be duplicate stacks in these chests. It is a shared inventory. It'll be the same item, but in separated stacks. Only take one stack of each item. The other ones are for your hunting partners. Do not be a dick, only take your fair share, unless of course you have asked your fellow hunters, hey, can I have these extra things? You didn't take them, can I have them? And if you didn't know this already, you can also go into the tent at a campsite and access your own personal full inventory if you've forgotten to bring something important before you left, like you forgot to replenish your inventory. You can even do this halfway through a hunt. If you got your ass kicked and you've burned through all your potions already, you can go get more potions from your stash. And tip number 1, always, and again, I really do literally mean always, each and every single time, seriously, every time, have a meal before a hunt. In Monster Hunter Rise, the meal system is based around dango, a dumpling made from rice flour, and in real life they are delicious. In the game, they are presumably still delicious, but more vitally, they give you buffs. From what we've seen so far, the game does seem to do a pretty good job at explaining what each flavor variant does, so just pay attention, read the little text, and spend a little time considering what would be the most useful in any particular hunt. And again, just use what's best for you and how you hunt, but absolutely do use it every time. Say it with me, every time. Going into a hunt without food in your belly is just kinda silly. Just like you always should be replenishing your inventory. Make it a habit. Make it part of the pre-hunt ritual. Make it automatic. Make it muscle memory, because they can make a surprisingly huge difference to your ability to succeed. And if you forget either one, you're more than likely going to regret it and feel pretty silly about it. And you're going to come back to this video and go, hey, Blunty, I forgot to do it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And I will, because I'm a forgiving guy. Sometimes. So there you are. 5 relatively quick tips about vital stuff you'll always want to keep in mind on each and every hunt every time you play. Watch this video a few times if you need to. Make it stick in your head. Put sticky notes on your screen to remind you about the talking points here. Call your cat and dog helpers canteen and supply box if you have to. You know what? That wasn't part of the script, but if you do that, if you call your Palamutant Palico canteen and supply box, please send me screenshots. But I do hope you found this useful and or interesting. I am Blunty. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you especially for making it to the end of the video. That does help, of course, with the algorithm. Don't say it too loud, it's listening all the time. And thank you, as always, of course, to the patrons scrolling up above there, whose above and beyond support I really do appreciate. Thank you very much, guys. I really love that you like my content enough to support me that extra step. But we are officially only a few days away from the game releasing now, so happy hunting.